Hi, welcome everyone. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about digital amps. So, digital amps, nowadays a lot of people are using them. I'm using them as well, a lot in my workflow, especially for pre-production and demos. But I've also used them in real sessions just because they sound really good. But I think there's still quite a difference when you compare a digital amp to a live amp. Although digital amps have improved a lot compared to several years ago, I think there's still some problem areas that you have to pay attention to when you're using them in a mix or something, let's say. But the problem with the digital amps, at least in my opinion, is especially the higher frequencies. So really like 8, 9, 10K and upwards, there's a lot of fizz going on, and that's really typical for a digital amp, and a lot less so for a live amp, because when you're using a live amp, you know, the sound travels through the cabinet speaker, the speaker will move, there's air involved, you have a microphone, the capsule will move as well, and in that whole process the higher frequencies just get rounded off more, so you don't have those fierce harmonic spikes that are more present when using digital amps. And there's probably a reason for that as well, because the higher frequencies get, the faster they oscillate, the more complex they get. And when you're using a digital amp, this all has to be calculated, and then you get into some aliasing problems or something. I know someone told me it gets quite technical. So yeah, that aside, let's take a look in a session, and I'll show you some problem areas that you might have to pay attention to when you're using digital amps. Hey, so I opened up a session, so I created a session where I imported some guitar tracks. So I just imported a clean DI track, and I've put here a plugin, so a digital amp, the Neural DSP archetype Nolly. That's one that I use a lot in my workflow. This is just the real guitar live amp, and there's also a little clean section here that I want to show you, for which I also used the archetype Nolly, but then a preset clean mid ambience. So okay, let's take a listen to the different sounds just quickly. This is the live amp. This is the Neural DSP one. So I will try to compare these ones. So I'm gonna just play the track of the live amp, and I'll show you the EQ as well, so you can see what's going on, and then I'll show you the EQ next to that of the digital amp. So what I want you to take a look at is really the upper frequency, so 10K upwards. You'll notice immediately that it is a lot more present in the digital amp. So first thing I would do immediately is do a high cut. Let's do something around 18 dB cutoff. So I would do it up to 9.5K, let's say. So you notice that there's a cleanup in the high end, but there's not really a fizz going on. But let's do the same in the digital amp, and then you know exactly what I mean. So let me play this for you. So that's about the same high cut. Now let me bypass this and then bring it in. You'll immediately hear there is a lot of fizz going on that you really want to get rid of. compared to the live amp. So that is a huge difference, right? Now, also what I would do is a low cut, but I think if you see the graph, it's about the same in both of them. So there's, let's say, this is really low tune track, but I'd say everything below 70, just get rid of it because it's gonna clutter up your mix, and there's really no useful guitar information there. So that cleans up the low end as well. Now we do the same in the digital amp, so somewhere around 70. So that's already a lot better than what we had. So that is a typical problem area that I also explained with the higher frequencies and the faster they oscillate. That is really the problem area in digital amps that you want to look out for. So really 10K upwards. But then also the area from 2K to 10K, let's say, you'll notice there are a lot more upper harmonic spikes there, but this is more like full chords and stuff as well. But notice when there is picking going on, you really see those spikes. But for this one, there are also some problem areas that we really want to take out. So let's listen. So that's a huge whistle. Now focus on this frequency. That's already an improvement. And there is another one that's even more nasty. Wow. Right. What? Now, what is that, right? Now, here when I bypass it. So that's huge, right? You really want to take those out. So in this case, I would notch them out like this. That's quite okay. But what is also a really good way to do it. So let's delete these. What's also a really good way to do it is with a plugin called Soothe. So what Soothe is really a dynamic attenuator. So it's going to take down the peaks. So the peak to average volume will be smaller in this case. So it's going to really notch out those annoying whistles and peaks. So let's focus somewhere around the frequency. So it was like 3.2K was really a problem area. Let's make it a bit broader because it was also around 1.2, something like this. So you also want to turn up the sharpness because you kind of want to resemble those harmonic peaks, right? They're also really notchy, so when you turn up the sharpness, it's gonna resemble that in a way. So let's hear what this does. So that's a very good solution as well, and maybe it's even better than just taking out the annoying frequencies with the Fab Filter EQ, because what Soothe will do, so when the guitar player is changing his chords, the whistles and the harmonic spikes will also change So suit will follow that because it's dynamic attenuated. It will follow the pitch. So maybe it's even better in this case to use that. So that's a great improvement, and I think it's also quite necessary to tame down those spiky harmonics and upper frequencies in digital amps. So I have this clean track as well, just to show you another thing that is sometimes a problem in digital amps. So let me play a little bit of the section. So notice when he's doing the, you really see those spikes like this. So this is actually what I mean. So here around 897 you have a peak at like plus 3 dB, but then over here, which is only like 70 hertz higher, you're really at -6. So that's a huge difference. So your peak to average ratio is a lot, and that makes it quite difficult to mix in some cases. Now, of course, in a live amp, that's also a bit the case, especially when you're picking your strings, but even more so in digital amps. So what we can do to make that a bit more even is also take an instance of Soothe. So what I would do then is take my attenuator and put it somewhere around, let's say here, for starters, let's see. Turn up the sharpness a bit, and then play with the depth. Let's see what it does. So now your peak to volume ratio will be less, and I'll show you that with the fab filter next to it. So when I bypass Soothe, take a look at this. So now when I turn on Soothe, you'll see that it will be less. So that would be a good way to treat those spikes, so those upper harmonic spikes as well. So yeah, that was a bit what I wanted to take a look at in this video. So when you're using digital amps, there are really good ones. They're really convenient. I use them all the time. Just watch out for those, yeah, let's say problem areas, but it will be more obvious in some than others. So hope you got anything out of it. If yes, then great. Like it, leave a comment. And if you didn't, then again, I'm sorry. All right, talk to you next time. You